Welcome back to my channel. I am Melissa Barron, and let me tell y'all, like, when I say I'm excited because guess what? I'm a nurse. I am a nurse, and I have literally been asked so many times, like, how I passed my NCLEX on the first try, what should you study, what happened, what was my process, and things like that. So what I'm going to do in this video here is tell you exactly how I passed my NCLEX in 2020 COVID season on the first try. Okay, so if you guys want to see that, go ahead and stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. So for you guys, it has definitely been a roller coaster, especially with COVID and trying to graduate and not getting all the hospital hours that we necessarily need. That was very hard for us coming into this COVID season and trying to become a nurse. So it's been really hard. We had a lot of adjustments that we needed to make, having to, come into trying to be a nurse when you're dealing with such a pandemic like this. So I am going to try to insert a video on how my reaction was when I first found out, within less than 24 hours of me taking my test, that I found out that I actually was a nurse. Like, when I found out I was a nurse, my reaction was straight crazy. Like, I'm gonna try and put it. So after seeing that reaction, you guys, let me tell you, I was so excited. I found out less than 24 hours. Nobody knew I was going to take my test that morning or that afternoon. What I did is I had originally booked my test for a further date out. I did not tell anybody that I was going to take my test, and I didn't tell anybody that I was going to take my test because I did not want that stress and anxiety on myself. When, for people to be like, oh, did you pass? How'd you do? What was on it? And things like that. I didn't want to put that stress and anxiety on myself just in case I did not pass, and I didn't want that for myself. And, if you're like me, where you deal with that stress and anxiety, I would not tell anyone either, because what it would allow me to be able to do is to process all that information on my own before having to go back and tell people that I had already not passed. So fortunately for me, I was able to tell people only good news and say that I passed on the very first try. It was hard, okay? So if you're anything like me, this is a big test for you. This is really a make or break for your career, and it is important, important milestone for you, and being that you already completed all your schoolwork, you did everything you needed to do to get there, and now you just have this one test to be able to get you there. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did. I kind of struggled at the beginning of studying. After I graduated in May, and I literally did not start studying until after Memorial Day. I think we graduated like May 3rd. I didn't start studying till like the 23rd of May, and I believe I took my test either on like the 23rd of June. And like I said, I originally booked it for the end of June, and then I just rescheduled it to book it a lot sooner. So without further ado, I will tell you exactly what I did. I started studying. I literally, if you're like me, you have these big books that you got while you were in nursing school, and it's these big books. Like, these books here were really a big deal. Like, it has a lot of information in these books. This is one that I got from a study session. I did utilize this when I was studying because it was more of a condensed form of studying. I don't know if you guys have any live reviews or your school offers any live reviews, but if it does offer those live reviews, I would definitely suggest going to their live reviews and getting that information. This book here came with a lot of information in it, and it just literally broke down a lot of the stuff in basic terms. So I did utilize this as a resource when I was going through studying for my exam. And this actually did on the live review. I got a lot of information from that. I went to 2 of the live reviews for this company here, and it's by 247nursetutor.com. So if you guys have an opportunity to go to a live review from them, this definitely did help me. But one thing I did not utilize was this big book here. Sorry, that's lab work. But I did not utilize this big book here. This book here gave me a lot of anxiety when I started to study because it's so massive. I felt like, oh my God, why? Like, there's no way that I could remember all of this information here. Like, there was no way that I just felt like I could remember all that information. So looking at this book gave me a lot of anxiety, and I did not utilize this. I did not pick it up not one time because I was just like, that to me was just too much, and it put too much on my plate, and it gave me too much anxiety to really utilize. So I did not use that. One of the things that I did utilize was audios by Mark Klein. I believe that's how you say his last name. I will type it and list it down below, his name. If you look at a lot of if you follow any on the Facebook nursing pages or anything like that, a lot of people have those audios. I don't necessarily have those audios anymore, but a friend had sent them to me, and I was able to utilize them. And what I did is I listened to those audios, and I also I couldn't find a blank sheet of paper, so don't judge me, even though I just got out of school. But I took a blank sheet of paper like this, and what I did is each topic that he went over, I literally wrote the topic at the top of the paper, and then I wrote down much of the information that he said on that topic. And I did that for each topic that I was utilizing, and what it did is it allowed me to be able to see all of that information on one sheet of paper at one time. So if I was looking at maternal child information, all of it was on one sheet of paper. So when I went back to, remember things, I remember how I wrote it on the piece of paper. I remember that, hey, this was this information, and it allowed me to be able to study that just from that topic from this one piece of paper. Alright, so one of my resources that I used a lot, actually it was one of my major resources, was UWorld, the NCLEX version, and that UWorld gave you 3,000 questions that you could either utilize on the computer or you could easily access right from your phone. And that actually was really convenient for me because this world is just one of those things where like we're always on the go, we're always doing something, and having that accessibility to be able to study at any point in time, whether that be waiting on your car while it's getting maintenance, whether that be just sitting on the couch at a friend's house where you guys watch movies but you're doing questions, having that accessibility definitely helped. One thing that I did notice is, and one of the reasons that I use UWorld, is a lot of these companies that create these tests, these test banks, they have individual people that go in, take these tests, and they figure out what's actually on the main test. And they pull out all that important information and they place them into these test banks. And so really, I try to more focus on what they had in those test banks there, because that information, there was 3,000 questions, and that was only the 3,000 things that I necessarily needed to know. Because for the NCLEX, I have been taught that you only need to be at or above, right above the level of what everybody else needed to know. So you didn't need to know everything, you just needed to be above the level of what everybody else needed to know, which means that you could be a 50%er. Not that people want to be, but it just means that you could be a 50%er. So I wanted to really focus in on what I needed to know and not what I didn't need to know. That helped me out a lot. So by using UWorld, what I did is I focused in on those 3,000 questions. I'm going to utilize my phone because I am going to try to put some information up here on the screen for you guys to be able to see, so that I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But one of the things was, on UWorld, you could create your own tests, right? You could look at your previous tests, you could look at your performance, and you could also make notes on your UWorld if you needed to make a note, because they have, once you answer your question, whether you get it right or wrong, it does give you a rationale. Those rationales are really important. Read the rationale, whether you get it right or whether you get it wrong, because that rationale explains to you all the information that you needed to know. That information was so important. So make sure that you utilize that. Because for nursing school, that's what I use, the rationales. The rationales told me all the information, the basic information that I needed to know. One thing I did realize when I was creating my test, that I was getting at 50%, right? On every test. I was creating a test that allowed me to be able to select all of the topics and put them all together and give me a little bit of every topic, right? And I was getting at 50% or 60% on my test. And that kind of started bothering me, started stressing me out. So what I did is I went ahead and I changed the way that I was studying, because I could not function in that manner. So what I did is that stressed me out, knowing that I was getting 50s and 60%. Please don't get stressed at that. This UWorld is supposed to be harder than the NCLEX because it's supposed to challenge your information. All right. So one of the things that I did, I don't know if you guys can see this, if it will focus in. Let me see if it can focus in on it. Okay, so what I did, one of the things that I did, this was just that piece of paper here, and you guys can see that I literally broke down the different topics and how many questions was in each topic. And what I did is when I took that piece of paper, I wrote down every topic that there was on that UWorld, and I wrote down how many questions that they have for each topic. And for me, it took me about a minute per question. So then what I did is I broke down the amount of hours that it would take me to go through each one of those questions. And I broke it down into specific topics, because what I needed to see is where I was lacking in each topic, in each section. My biggest thing was maternal child and newborn, and also medications, because in nursing school, a lot of times they give you the brand name of the drug and not the generic name. But on UWorld, on the NCLEX, they only give you the generic name. So if you don't know the generic name, but you only know the brand name of that drug, you cannot know what that drug does. So make sure while you're in nursing school that you focus on the generic name as well as the brand name while you're in school, so that you know exactly what that drug does. So what I did is, like I said, I broke all of that down into different, the different topics like newborn, postpartum, reproductive, labor and delivery. And I literally put them all in one section. And for all of that, it would have took me 4.5 hours to go through. Now, I didn't do that in all of one day. And I broke down the days as well. So I said, okay, on Wednesday, I'm going to do all of maternal child. And it's going to take me 4.5 hours. Whether I was going to do 2 hours in the morning or 2 hours in the afternoon, that information was going to get done on that day, because these were specific days that I was going to study. And I checked them off as I completed them. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that I was mastering these topics here, right? And mastering the information that UWorld provided me on there. Because if I didn't know the 43 newborn questions that was on there, then when I got a newborn question on the NCLEX, I wasn't going to know that if I just didn't know the 43 informations that was on there. But it also allowed me to be able to see where I was lacking in each topic, because I was able to gauge, like, okay, do I need to focus more now on critical care? Do I need to focus more now on medications? Do I need to focus on this specific area? That information was really important to me, because if you don't know where you're lacking, you don't know where you need to focus. And if you don't know where you need to focus, you don't know how to be able to get to where you got to go. Okay, so that information was really good for me. I broke that down into the different topics and how many days it was going to take me to get through those topics and all of that information. I also wrote you know, the rationales and put little notes on a blank sheet of paper like this with the topic on top, maternal child. And I wrote little notes of the ones that I got wrong, because guess what? When I went back later that week, as I was looking over that information, I only had to look at that one piece of paper that was on there and say, okay, this is the information that I missed. Let me focus in on this. Let me read over it 1,000 times. And it didn't take me that long because it was just one piece of paper. But my eyes saw it plenty of times as I only read over that one piece of paper. That definitely helped me out significantly. So the day before I took my test, what I did is UWorld gives you can purchase where you're able to take a comprehensive test, and it will give you pretty much it will tell you your level of passing. It would say you had a low level of passing, your borderline level of passing, you had a high level of passing, or very high level of passing. Now, when I took my test before, it told me that I had a high level, I don't remember if I had a high level or a very high level of passing. But it did tell me that I had a high, I'm sure it was either high or very high, but it told me that. And even though I was getting 50s on my UWorld, it told me that I had a high level of passing, because guess what? Those critical answers I was getting correct. So I did get like a 60 or 70 on my percentage overall on the test as far as correct. I think I got like 60 something percent correct, and the other 30% wrong. Right? But it told me I had a high level of passing. So what I did is, after I took that test, I went ahead and adjusted my test date, because what I wanted to do is I wanted my confidence to be as high as possible when it was time for me to get ready to take my test. So I actually booked it from that day. I booked it the very next day. I went to work that morning, and then I drove an hour away, and I went and took my test. Walking into the test, I literally, the whole way driving to the test, I listened to music that helped pump me up, that got me really hyped, that really was like inspirational. And even as I walked in the doors for the place that I was going to take my test, I had my earbuds in, and I listened and I jammed to music that really got me pumped up, right? Because I feel like when you walk in and do a test, if you're already feeling downcast, you're already feeling like defeated, guess what? When you go into that test, you're going to feel defeated, right? And you're going to put that defeat back onto that paper or back onto that computer, or however that they provide the test. But I didn't want that. I wanted to be hype. I was like, I'm gonna give this to the Lord. We're gonna do this today. So I listened to that music all the way up till I got to the where I needed to go take my test. I checked in, I took my test, and when I walked out, I tell you that I felt like I did not know not one question on that test. I felt like that test had defeated me, literally. And I was like, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it up to God, because I did not know if I had passed or not, because I did not feel confident. So I did do the they say where you can do the person's view trick or whatever to see if you had already passed, and it's where if you put in the specific, like if you put in and try and retake the test and the test doesn't, and it doesn't send you to repay for the test, that it tells you that you actually passed the test. I did do that literally like within 20 minutes of me leaving the test, and that trick did tell me it would not allow me to be able to pay for it. It said I had already taken that test and I could not take it again, right? I did do that trick. That still didn't provide me with a lot of confidence. I was like, I still don't know. I need to know. I woke up the next morning. Something just said, I woke up, it was about 9 o'clock. I woke up, something said, go ahead and check that Florida website and see if you passed. And when I tell you, when I logged on to there and I saw my name, I lost it. I was so excited. I was so excited. I was in disbelief that was my name. But if I could tell you anything and provide you with any of the most information, is have the most confidence in yourself. Look at the information, study the information, utilize your tools that the school gave you, just with that information, and just have that confidence going into the test. After I took my test that day, after I took the comprehensive test at UWorld, I literally stopped studying. I painted my nails, I took a shower, I went and got something to eat. I literally decompressed and was like, I either got it or I don't at this point. I was not going to stress over it. I was going to give it, and obviously I gave it and I got it. Hey! So I'm super excited. I am Nurse Melissa. Y'all don't even know. I'm Nurse Melissa in this bitch. Okay, I be trying not to cuss, but I'm Nurse Melissa in this bitch. Okay, let me tell you. I am, and you could be a nurse too. My motto is, and I tell this to all the girls that ask me like how I became a nurse and what I need to do, and when I'm mentoring a lot of these other girls who are trying to go into nursing school, I literally tell them that the only way that you will not become a nurse is if you stop trying to become a nurse. And that's literally the only way that you won't become a nurse. Because when I tell you there are so many ways for you to be able to become a nurse, there's so many ways for you to be able to accomplish your dreams, so many ways for you to be able to do this and to be able to accomplish it. Even if you fall down, you just got to get back up. But when I tell you that the only way that you won't be able to accomplish that is if you give up. And we don't give up over here, okay? So again, that's Nurse Melissa. And I'm super excited about this. If you guys need any more information, I am going to do a video on how I studied while I was in nursing school, what I did. I hate that a lot of the information I threw away. Like, I literally was like, I threw it away. It was like, I'm done with this. I threw it away. I didn't throw my books away, but I threw away a lot of the paperwork that I necessarily had for nursing school. But I will do a video on that. If there's anything else that you guys want to know, any questions or comments, put it down below. I will link a lot of the UWorld. I will link just that other information down in the section below. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe, because I will be putting out more videos. I'm dedicated to this now because guess what? Nurse Melissa is super excited. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.